Is it just me, or are these YouTube ads getting a little ridiculous? My favorite one is the King's Throne game for reasons, but that Mafia game looks pretty interesting too. Of course, we don't download them, but we do watch them to help our favorite content creators. What's going on with you guys? TheCaliEffect, King of Games here, and today we're going to be talking about some really powerful Yu-Gi-Oh decks, or decks that can be extremely powerful if the cards of the Forbidden List fall just right. These Yu-Gi-Oh decks on this list are already extremely powerful, but I think we're just waiting on Konami to make the wrong move to make these from rogue tier to top tier. There are quite a few cards on the Forbidden List that's holding some of these cards back, and today not only will I be revealing them to you, I'll also be able to tell you why the deck is so good in the first place. So of course, if you want to see more videos like this, then be sure to destroy that subscribe button, but also be sure to post down below in the comment section which strategies do you think will get a huge boost from the Forbidden List and which strategies you think will be left in the wind. Without further ado, let's talk about these amazing Yu-Gi-Oh strategies. The first strategy at the start of the format actually made a huge impact in the Yu-Gi-Oh metagame. It still has its piece inside of another deck, but a couple of cards off the Forbidden List can make this deck a viable contender as pure. Burning Abyss is a really powerful Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that is built off of sending cards from your deck to the graveyard, like Lightsworn, except not Lightsworn. Some of Burning Abyss' most powerful cards just recently came off the Forbidden List. Both Graph Malbrank of the Burning Abyss and Seer Malbrank of the Burning Abyss allow you to special summon Burning Abyss monsters from your deck or graveyard to your side of the field, and when you mix it with the powerful Dante Traveler of the Burning Abyss, those monsters being sent from the deck to the graveyard become even more potent. Now, the thing that I like the most about the Burning Abyss strategy is that just with one card, you can make an IP Masquerena and Beatrice Lady of the Eternal, meaning that the rest of the cards in your hand can pretty much be whatever you want. Whether they're hand traps, or cards to be able to disrupt your opponent, it's pretty good to play Burning Abyss inside of 2021 and still feel like you're playing Burning Abyss inside of 2014. Now, there are quite the few cards that could come off the Forbidden List to help out Burning Abyss. I think the most direct support would be Beatrice Lady of the Eternal. This card has been on the Forbidden List for ages, and it coming off the list would be a huge boost to the strategy. To be honest, I can't even imagine a single reason why it was on the Forbidden List limited in the first place, unless it was to stop Burning Abyss. I guess that's a good reason. Another card that Burning Abyss players would definitely miss from their strategy is Fairy Tale Snow. Now, Fairy Tale Snow is huge because the Burning Abyss strategy, like I said before, sends from the deck to the graveyard, so abusing this card, being able to summon it to your side of the field for a free disruption with ease, as well as being able to use it as link material, is something up Burning Abyss's alley. Burning Abyss would also become a lot more powerful with the card named Block Dragon coming off the list, but I feel that there would be a lot more changes that would have to happen. These other two cards feel like they can come off the Forbidden List with no repercussions. Another strategy that is really good in Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, good isn't necessarily what we should call it, but I'm not trying to spoil it. Solomon Great is an amazing Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategy for 2021 that can get so much better depending on how the Forbidden List wants to treat it. Solomon Great is the first fully competitive cyber strategy, which is built on actually being able to second summon your link monsters by using them as link material. It sounds weird, but allow me to explain just in case you didn't understand. If you summon Solomon Great Sunlight Wolf to your side of the field by using a Solomon Great Sunlight Wolf, you can gain the ability to be able to add Solomon Great spell or trap cards from your graveyard to your hand once per turn. You kind of see how that benefits the deck. It actually allows you to recycle stuff because you link summoned it using its card name. Solomon Greats have some really powerful cards that allow it to keep up with the meta, but imagine if one of these cards, all of them Solomon Great support, came off of the list. We have Solomon Great Mirage Stallia, which is a card that is a prime candidate from coming off the Forbidden List because of its restriction to only being able to activate fire monsters. This card is not easy to splash. It allows you to special summon a Solomon Great monster from your deck to your side of the field by detaching a material, and then when it's sent to the graveyard, you can bounce a card on your opponent's side of the field. This card isn't really that busted. I mean, at least not in today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Then there's Solomon Great Gazelle, a card that allows you to special summon it to your side of the field when a Solomon Great monster leaves the field outside of the damage step, and can send one Solomon Great card from your deck to your graveyard. This card is also another one of those cards that isn't really busted. It's just pretty good at what it does for the strategy. And the last card is Solomon Great Circle, the reinforcement of the army for the strategy. This particular card allows you to add a Solomon Great monster from your deck to your hand, similarly to how Elemental Hero Stratos is off the Forbidden List, or even Heritage of the Chalice. You know, two cards that search cards that are completely off the Forbidden List, but Circle's the problem. Okay, Konami. Any of these cards coming off of the respective Forbidden List, even if they're moving down one position from banned to limited or from limited to semi-limited, is huge for the Solomon Great strategy and would make it a more viable contender. A strategy that players are often divided by is True Draco. Now, the reason why players feel divided about the True Draco strategy is that it takes no skill. But in actuality, True Draco is one of the more skilled decks, especially in a control-based format where combo decks are prevalent, and of course, back row destruction is a must. The True Draco monsters are a series of level 5 and higher monsters which can tribute summon themselves by tributing continuous spell or trap cards on your side of the field, and anytime your opponent would activate a card effect, they tend to gain effects. True Draco builds have to forego their extra deck if you want to be able to stop your opponent from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Granted, there's True Draco Disciples and Heritage, which allows you to destroy your opponent's spell and trap cards, and then there's True King's Return and Apocalypse, which allows you to destroy your opponent's monsters, but we know that that's not enough in this current competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game. Now, just like the other decks, there are a few cards on the Forbidden List that can make this deck insane. The first one would be Dragonic Diagram, a card that allows you to add a True King or True Draco monster by destroying a card on your hand or field. I'm not gonna lie to you, this card probably should not come off the list unless some serious changes are made. The next is Masterpiece, the True Draco Slaying King, a card that can tribute summon itself by tributing 2 either monster spells or traps, makes itself unaffected, and can banish a continuous spell or trap card to be able to destroy a card on the field during either player's turn. Wow, this actually sounds like another card that should not come off the Forbidden List, seriously. Those two cards, there might have to be some changes to Yu-Gi-Oh! In order for them to come off. Masterpiece, not as much as Diagram, but Masterpiece is pretty good. A card that would really help the True Draco strategy if it does come off the Forbidden List is Dynamite, the True Draco Fighter. Now, this card allows you to place your traps to your side of the field, and your traps can tribute summon during your opponent's turn. This gives True Draco the ability to be able to disrupt your opponent's monsters on their turn, which makes the strategy a lot more viable. I mean, come on, Konami. I didn't ask for Card Demise. I didn't ask for Terraforming. I asked for Dynamite. And don't you think that just giving us True Draco's Return would make everything dandy? It does not. Unless you give us Masterpiece too. That might balance it out a little bit for us. A deck that is currently underrated in the current competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game. It's a pretty good deck, but the Forbidden List can definitely help it out, is Inferno. Now, the Infernoid monsters are a series of monsters named after numbers from different languages and can summon themselves from the hand or graveyard to the side of the field by banishing other Infernoid monsters from your hand or graveyard. Now, the trick about the Infernoid monsters is that you cannot control monsters over the level or rank of 8. The good thing about this is that Link monsters exist and don't have a level or rank. The Infernoid strategy has access to some huge monsters like Infernoid Deviati and Anuku, which allows you to pretty much board wipe and can banish a card by tributing monsters on your side of the field, or spell their trap cards will negate the activation. You get what I'm saying. Now, there are currently 2 cards that would really help the Infernoid strategy that are currently on the Forbidden List. The first one would be Reasoning. Reasoning is a card that has been limited for, I guess because of Infernoids. I'm not sure. I mean, it's a good card, but limited for Infernoids? Your opponent declares a level between 1 through 12, you excavate cards, and then you special summon a monster if your opponent did not guess it correctly. Now, there are some pretty interesting ways to use Reasoning, but I genuinely think that it's a very fair card that can come off the list similar to how Monster Gate came off the list and nothing happened. Another card that could come off the list is That Grass Looks Greener. This card allows you to mill the top cards of your deck to the graveyard, depending on the differential between your deck and your opponent's deck. this card's really good. That grass is a good option for the Infernoid strategy, but it'll also be able to help another one of the strategies that I'll mention probably right after this. Now, everyone's favorite light deck would get a huge boost off of that grass looks greener. This isn't your favorite light deck? I mean, it is now. I mean, there's no other light decks. Okay, that light deck is good, but it's not better than this one. Okay, all right, you thought of another good light deck. Congratulations. How are we having this conversation right now? We should be in the video. Lightsworn is a very popular Yu-Gi-Oh card deck that strictly focuses on sending cards from the deck to the graveyard. Your Lightsworn monsters are ever so powerful and also have really good effects, whether it's summoning from the graveyard, being able to destroy your opponent's spell or trap cards, sending cards from your decks to the graveyard to increase attack. Lightsworns kind of have it all. I mean, when I mean have it all, I mean everything except for a way to consistently mill. And that's where that grass looks greener comes in. That grass looks greener would definitely help Lightsworn decks, as it would be able to send cards from the deck to the graveyard, triggering monsters like Wolf the Lightsworn Beast to get it to the side of the field, but more importantly, fueling the graveyard to be able to summon some of its most powerful monsters like Judgment Dragon, which still is a good Yu-Gi-Oh card in 2021. I swear, sometimes Konami makes some really busted cards that shouldn't be made, and then they make some cards that look really powerful, and you're like, no, this is actually pretty fair. Lightsworn could also benefit from having Fairy Tail Snow off the Forbidden List, so you get to help multiple decks with this card off of the Forbidden List in Burning Abyss in Lightsworn. Ultimately, the deck just needs a way to make Curious a lot better, and if it makes Curious in the normal methods that it has right now, it loses its normal summon, so it kind of loses the reason to make Curious. I'm curious as to where Konami will go now that they know this information. Well, that is all that we have for decks that can be meta after the Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden List. Again, I want you guys to post down below in the comment section some strategies that I missed. I purposely did not mention Pendulum because Pendulum players, man. And also be sure to check out these videos, as I'll catch you on the next one.